so that the direction of the picture is in the script. Everything is in the script.
So we'll kind of go a little bit deeper into that. I know you all kind of touched a little bit on it, but let's kind of dive deep. And Lily, we can start with you and now go the other way as kind of like what's your origin story with writing? How did this is your first script, so what kind of so you were, you had a lot of time on your hands, but that time could be filled with so much. What kind of moved you to write specifically?
Yeah, I think writing this script, it was based on like a lot of conversations I was having with it's about like girls in college or like women in college, sort of like at the precipice of adulthood, obviously based on my real life. And it was like a lot of conversations I was having with like female friends of mine. And I just started writing it down. And then I decided I wanted to make it into an actual script and like an actual short film because I was I think a junior at the time, or I was about to enter my junior year. So I was like, I've been in college for almost 3 years and I haven't really made anything to like show what I've learned yet. And like, I'm trying to get internships and I'm trying to like tell people that this is what I do. Like I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer, and I want people to believe me when I say that. And I don't really have anything to show for that or anything that like has like any kind of voice in it. So I just decided like why not just make something, and if it's bad I'll throw it out, and if I'm kind of happy with it then I can use it as like this is what I'm trying to do, and like only I'll hopefully get better at it with time.
Did you study specifically like writing, like the art of, the structure, the all of that, or?
So my degree isn't specifically in writing, it's just generally in film production, like, and film theory. But I did take a screenwriting class that summer, like the same summer that I made this short film. I took a screenwriting class that like so I could learn how to actually do it. So I found that really helpful. But that's only one class I've ever taken in screenwriting.
Did you know that at some point you were going to want to write, or because I mean the entertainment industry is so broad, general, especially when
Yeah.
major in. Did you know at some point like I'm going to sit down and write because I know I can write, or was it like okay, I need to do this because I want to show something for it?
I think I've always wanted to write. Didn't always wanted to do screenwriting. Um, Sorry, I don't know if you can hear the giant plane just going above my head right now. I think before I was interested in majoring in film just because I really enjoyed like studying movies, and then it turned into like, oh, maybe I could make one. And I've always loved writing, like from, as soon as I could write, I was like writing little stories and stuff. So I think it was just like sort of a natural progression. Like, well, if I want to make a movie, I want to make the script that turns into the movie. I want to be like involved in the very beginning process of that. So it was like very natural. I think around like my first year of college, I was like, okay, I think I want to do screenwriting specifically.
Very cool. Amazing. We'll get a little bit more into I Feel Normal shortly. But first, Samantha, let's hear what's your origin story. How did you get into writing?
I've been writing since a very young age, since the age of 11, after I read my first thriller, which was The Collector by John Fowles. And it blew my mind. And I thought it was the first adult book I'd ever read. And I thought, that's it, I'm going to be a writer. It took me quite a few years to become a professional writer. And so I started to, got published in 2007, 2008, and I've written 27 novels since then. Most of them are published. There's only 3 at the moment that are unpublished that are doing the rounds. So that's me. But screenwriting wise, I actually did. I had a passion for it. So I did my very first degree was English and writing for performance, and I specialised in screen. So although I went down the novel route because I took my master's degree, which was creative writing, prose, I ended up going down the novel route. I always did love doing, screenplays. So it was a natural thing for me to adapt my own novel when I was approached for the film rights for Stranger in Our Bed. So that was me, really. Just lots and lots of hard years writing long books. Mostly used to write lots of horror and fantasy at first, but now I'm sort of thriller writing, and loving it. But I'm hopefully dipping my toe a bit more in the water, going back to doing a bit of thriller stroke supernatural thriller at the end of next year. So that should be good.
Fascinating. So once you started at 11, once you knew like, oh, this is what I want to do, you wrote since then?
All the time.
Wow.
Yeah, all the time. But then I got married and had a child, and that sort of stopped things for a bit. And then I started to get some short stories and poetry published in various anthologies and magazines. And somebody sort of said to me, why don't you do a degree? You know, and that was sort of started me on the sort of academic journey as well, which was really very nice, because it gave me, up until then, I'm sure all the writers here understand this, you always think you're not good enough. You always think you're never going to be a writer, or you're never going to be good enough. You have this imposter syndrome. And actually doing the degrees for me really gave me a lot of confidence to actually send out that first book. So my first novel was my dissertation for my master's degree. So that gave me that sort of like one reason to write it and two reason to send it out. So the rest, as we say, is history, really.
And the master's was in writing?
It was creative writing, specializing in prose. Yeah. So, but I was a high school teacher at the time. At that point, I was teaching English.
Writing. Oh, English.
I was teaching English and drama.
Oh, I love it.
High school. Yeah.
Amazing.
So the whole thing all sort of works together, doesn't it? The drama element, you know, being in front of the camera as well as behind it, you know.
I love it. Amazing, amazing. So we'll hear more about Within Her Walls specifically soon. But Danielle, what is your origin story? How'd you get into writing?
Well, first, like, I've just loved drawing and animation for as long as I can remember, and I just never thought of it as a career. And then I kind of fell into the entertainment insurance industry, and so I'm exposed to all these scripts and storyboards and budgets and trying to give the insurance for it. So it really just, you know, fueled my creative side, and I really wanted to make something of my own. So I went back to school for animation specifically, so that I could make my short films or any project really that I feel like I need to make. And so that's kind of where this script came about. But it was also a way to kind of process the grief I have with my mother passing away like 15 years ago. So I use my creative side to kind of work through all those emotions and regret and grief and all of that. So that's kind of what fuels all these stories that I have made, and Marbles specifically.
Wow. And did you have to like take any class specifically on writing, or is it something that kind of came naturally with the pictures? You know, you're like, okay, now I'm just going to translate these drawings that I'm making into text. Like, how did that translate over to a script?
So I've never taken a writing course. And so I had all these, you know, things in my mind, and I finally just put it down on paper. But because I'm exposed to scripts like every single day for work, like I can, you know, I kind of can read the structure. I can see all that on a daily basis. So it made it easier for me to make my own script, being exposed to all of that already.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's kind of like different, you know, some go to school, some, I guess after you read so many scripts, you kind of like get the understanding of like, I think I can do this too. So that's really, really cool.
So that the direction of the picture is in the script. Everything is in the script.